The usual concept of trauma conjures up notions of catastrophic events, hurricanes, abuse, egregious neglect, and war. This has the unintended and misleading effect of relegating trauma to the realm of the abnormal, the unusual, and the exceptional. If there exists a class of people we call traumatized, that must mean that most of us are not. Here we miss the mark by a wide margin. Trauma pervades our culture, from personal functioning through social relationships, parenting, education, popular culture, economics, and politics. In fact, someone without the marks of trauma would be an outlier in our society. We are closer to the truth when we ask where do we each fit on the broad and surprisingly inclusive trauma spectrum. Which of its many marks has each of us carried all or most of our lives, and what have the impacts been? And what possibilities would open up were we to become more familiar, even intimate with them? A more basic question comes first. What is trauma? As I use the word trauma is an injury, a lasting rupture or split within the self due to difficult or hurtful events. By this definition, trauma is primarily what happens within someone as a result of the difficult or hurtful events that befall them. It is not the events themselves. Trauma is not what happens to you, but what happens inside you, is how I formulate it. Think of a car accident where someone sustains a concussion. The accident is what happened, the injury is what lasts. Likewise, trauma is a psychic inner injury lodged in our nervous system, mind, and body, lasting long past the originating incident, triggerable at any moment. It is a constellation of hardships composed of the wound itself and the residual burdens that our woundedness imposes on our bodies and souls, the unresolved emotions they visit upon us, the coping dynamics they dictate, the tragic or melodramatic, dramatic or neurotic scripts we unwittingly but inexorably live out, and not least the toll these take on our bodies. When a wound does not mend on its own, one of the two things will happen. It can either remain raw or more commonly be replaced by a thick layer of scar tissue. As an open sore, it is an ongoing source of pain and a place where we can be hurt over and over again by even the slightest stimulus. It compels us to be ever vigilant, always nursing our wounds, as it were, and leaves us limited in our capacity to move flexibly and act confidently, lest we be harmed again. The scar is preferable, providing protection and holding tissues together, but it has its own drawbacks. It is tight, hard, inflexible, unable to grow, a zone of numbness. The original healthy, alive flesh is not regenerated. Raw wound or scar, unresolved trauma is a constriction of the self, both physical and psychological. It contains our inborn capacities and generates an enduring distortion of our view of the world and of other people. Trauma, until we work it through, keeps us stuck in the past, robbing us of the present moment's riches, limiting us who we can be. By impelling us to suppress hurt and unwanted parts of the psyche, it fragments the self. Until seen and acknowledged, it is also a barrier to growth. In many cases, as in mine, it blights a person's sense of worth, poisons relationships, and undermines appreciation for life itself. Early in childhood, it may even interfere with healthy brain development. And as we will witness, trauma is an antecedent and a contribution to illness of all kinds throughout the lifespan. Trauma is perhaps the most avoided, ignored, belittled, denied, misunderstood, and untreated cause of human suffering.